from the moment I first booked a consultation with today's guest, I knew I would eventually want to have her on the show. And it was almost like this marker moment for me. It was like a year from now, a year and a half from now, I'm going to have these crazy results by working with this one person. And so today I'm so excited to have on Dr. Lauren Noel, effectively known as Dr. Low. She's a world renowned naturopath doctor based in California. She's the owner of Shine Natural Medicine, and she has treated over 5,000 patients using natural therapies. She's also the host of the really popular Dr. Low Show, which is top rated. It has over 2 million downloads. And I love her approach to medicine, emphasizing treating the whole person, not just the symptoms. On today's show, we have my naturopath doctor who I have raved about. I'm so excited to dive into this different approach, how it's been a benefit. And I think any woman, any entrepreneur, any mom can learn something from this episode. So grab your notes. I'm sure you're going to learn something new about your health that will not only impact how you feel, but how you show up in your business and in your family. So with that, welcome to the show, Dr. Low. I don't know if you've ever had somebody in your life where it's like, your life before this person and then your life after that person and how there's been like transformation for the good, right? Because that could be for the good or for the bad. But in this case, it was definitely for the good. And I just feel like, Dr. Lowe, you are one of those people that I can look at my life from like the moment I booked that call till now and just see like this ripple effect transformation that has happened like in our family. And I'm getting emotional saying this, which I wasn't expecting, but it's in our family. And then of course, like all the women that we like touch and come in contact with. So thank you for being you. And thank you just for the way that you've loved on us. And I'm excited to dive more into who you are and what you do. So welcome.
That's the coolest intro. Thank you so much. It's an honor. And I can absolutely relate to that feeling of someone, before knowing them and after. I've had different mentors and people in my life as well. So, and I will say to your credit, you took it and ran, and you were like a sponge for knowledge, and you brought your passion to the table, and you were just very compliant and consistent. So you did your part. It's definitely a two-way street. So nice work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man, I feel like it was fun watching even Chelsea's transformation, because we did a whole episode on this recently, actually kind of her transparent sharing of the whole kind of journey and everything that went into that. But I mean, I think just even your business name, right? Shine Natural Health. I feel like Chelsea's really shining now, even more so than then. And just after baby number 2, it was like, all the things, we'll get into that, we're just off. And in a role where Chelsea is showing up like daily on camera, it was kind of a depressing time.
Yeah.
Right? Like just having to be like, keep showing up, keeping consistent in the business, but not feeling great about how you're feeling and energy and like just all the things that went into that. So I can just say from the third party, just watching her and working, like this is the first time we've actually met, even though I've heard your name multiple times, but I've seen really Chelsea kind of exemplify, your business name, which is Shine Natural Health. Like she really is shining now because of this. So I just want to honor you and thank you. I know I said that a little bit before the episode, but wanted to do it publicly as well, because it's like, that impact is not going unnoticed.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a ripple effect. So yay.
Totally. I would love to ask you, Dr. Lowe, for those who have never heard of like a functional medicine doctor or naturopath or like anything like that, like what are the key differentiators that you see between maybe more of like a Western medicine doctor and kind of like the type of practice that you have?
Yeah. Well, there are some similarities and there are some major differences for sure. So I actually became a naturopathic doctor because of my own experience as a patient in the conventional medical system. So I just, I was way back in the day in high school, I was a patient at Kaiser and had, all kinds of issues like acne and thyroid problems. And I didn't know what was happening. And I just kept getting the runaround, just not getting any real solutions. And it was just so frustrating and so hard to deal with as a teenager. And it wasn't until fast forward, I started working with a naturopathic doctor years later that I really was introduced to a whole different way of health, to work with someone who was actually asking what I was eating. and who was, who spent a lot of time with me. The visit was an hour. I mean, that's a long time with the doctor, I mean, the average doctor visit is 7 minutes. So,
Wow.
you need some time to be able to get the information out. And they treated me holistically, and it was just a beautiful difference in the experience. And one of the biggest differences is, first, prior to getting a diagnosis of something for a patient, we're doing a lot of in-depth testing. So, and it's not just the bare minimum. We're doing really thorough testing to get to the root of the problem. So looking at, as hormones, digestive, we're doing blood work, stool testing, urine testing, saliva. We get all the body fluids, and test them because we want as much data as we can. And then once we figure out what's going on, then the tools that we have are really different. So we're trained in nutrition, we're trained in herbal medicine, we're trained in homeopathy, and sometimes we will use medications if we need to. We have that in our toolbox too, but it's always a last resort because there are so many things naturally that work so well. So it's kind of like putting a bunch of different practitioners all together into one person. That's what a naturopathic doctor is. The term functional medicine, it's about finding imbalances in a person's function before a disease actually happens. So you can see patterns that are in place before they actually get a diagnosis of something. Because it's not like you're healthy and all of a sudden, boom, you have a condition. Like, it's a continuum and you're moving in that direction. So how can we find where you are in that direction so that we can have you do a 180 and turn into a different road? That's ultimately what we want to be doing. And the goal is to assist the body to heal itself. So the body is designed to be healthy, you know? God gave us healthy
Yeah.
bodies and we're able to heal our own bodies, but we get in the way a lot of times. That's what my job is, to
Yeah.
uncover what's in the way.
I have
Yeah.
a question. Like, I love this because it's funny. Like, in our business, we make a lot of our business decisions off of data. Even the products we launch on Amazon, they're
Mhm.
based off of data. But we never did this for our bodies. Like, we never looked at the data. We would just be like, oh, I heard turmeric's good. So,
Right.
like, I'll take that too, And so I think a lot of people are living in this kind of, Instagram highlight reel of like medicine or supplements or things they're taking,
Mhm.
but they're not really doing the testing. And I think as we've grown in our finances, we've been able to like do more of these things. But I know some of our listeners are probably hearing this and saying, that sounds expensive, right? Like, it sounds
Yeah.
expensive, all this testing, things like that. Do you have like, if you had to recommend one that you've seen, man, there's a breakthrough. If you just do this one test to kind of get some more info, like, is there one that you find, maybe for our audience, we have primary, female entrepreneurs, moms, is there something you would be like, hey, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, maybe check out this one?
Yeah. Well, I think our comprehensive blood panel that we run on every new patient, and we use that to repeat testing the most, that I think is important. And it's not one specific test, but it's a collection of looking at the foundation. So for women, especially, it's really common to have specific types of imbalances. So checking that and making sure that that foundational piece is in place. It'll help a woman no matter what she's dealing with, regardless of what, specific complaint she has. So that would include blood sugar balance. So making sure that her blood sugar, her insulin, her hemoglobin A1C, which is a test that looks at blood sugar over a 3-month period, making sure that those are in place. And then also looking at iron status. So if your iron is low, if your blood sugar is off, you're going to have a hard time getting better from anything. So just like those foundational things. My favorite test personally is the micronutrient deficiency panel that looks at all a person's vitamins and minerals and antioxidant levels. And that to me is so much fun because then from there I can say, okay, this is the kind of diet you want to have. These are supplements you need. These are the supplements you want to stop because you don't need that one anymore. Because sometimes, like to your
Yeah.
point, people are taking stuff. They're just like, this is probably healthy for me. And they may have like sky high levels of vitamin C or zinc or something like that. So even vitamins can be dangerous if you do too much of certain ones at certain doses. Yeah.
Do you have like a frequency you like? Cause like, I think once we started in this, we're like, to use Chelsea's language, she's like, I'll never not do this.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's like Chelsea said, like, she's like,
Yeah.
and we actually had a mastermind we were in. Some guy was kind of talking about how to run your business, how to run your body like a business.
Mhm.
And he's like, just like you would do quarterly planning, right? Like,
Yes.
you might want to do this every quarter or twice a year.
Mhm.
Do you have a recommended frequency for doing some of these kind of checkups on the panels or the
Yes.
tests, to just kind of see? Because I think
Mhm.
the most encouraging thing is the second one you do,
Mhm.
because you get to see like, wow, I was really deficient in all these
Mhm.
areas and now I'm improving in these areas and I feel better in these
Yep.
areas. So, I mean, what's a good frequency that you find
It's a good question.
for doing this type of
For
thing?
people who are coming in who have an issue, which is like 99% of people, I will do their blood work and then I'll put them on a 10-week plan and then we'll retest. And so that's like the first kind of go on their plan. And then from there, decide, do we need to do another 10 weeks? Because it's usually about 10 weeks is about the amount of time to make some real change happen, where it's not just taking away symptoms, but it's actually correcting things at the root. So that's usually how I've done things. And then once I get to a person to a place of maintenance, then we do the seasons model, like you're talking about. So every season, it's about, okay, how can we, tweak things? I think doing like once you're at a real maintenance, though, doing the testing like once a year, I think is a fantastic thing to do just to keep you strong and keep things in balance. And, we're always exposed to things here and there or deal with different life circumstances. So things can change. So I think having that regular, yearly huddle is a really good plan.
Why do you think that this type of testing or looking at the whole person, why do you think, at least in the United States, it's not a more common thing? Like, I think about after having babies, and it's like, no matter how healthy, how much, if you have a private chef and you have like everything at your fingertips, like your hormones in your body is going to be out of whack from carrying and delivering a baby. And, I had great like prenatal and postnatal care that I'm very grateful for, but and they do like ask you certain things like anxiety or depression, but it's just like I wish that something like this was really like offered, or I can't
It's
tell
part of the
you,
process.
just
Yeah.
part of the process. Yeah. Or like the amount of local mom Facebook groups of women struggling to like lose weight or sluggish and like brain fog and so many things that I was struggling with. Like, why do you think that it's not? I mean, I think it is more now, be with social media and things like that. People are recognizing the importance of it. But why
Yeah.
do you think people are hesitant or not sharing more?
Yeah, I think it's about the medical model that conventional doctors that they go through with their training. There's not one single nutrition class that's required for a medical doctor. They're typically just like electives and a lot of them don't take it. So, it's limited on what they can offer for it's like really medical doctors are only trained in medication and surgery. So if it's anything beyond that, it's like, I tell patients it's like trying to speak Japanese to your car mechanic or, trying to talk,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like you have to speak the same language with the person you're seeing. So I think that there's just a difference in that philosophy. And then also it comes down to money, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of people get rich by people being sick. So
Hmm.
it's not a model focused on health promotion, it's on disease treatment, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
money in disease treatment. So, you have to like take yourself out of that model and, yes, it's more money up front, but you are ultimately saving a lot of money by working on your health and getting to a strong place.
What's up, Rainmaker? If you're like me, having a good night's sleep is an absolute must, especially as a parent and an entrepreneur. And I feel like I found the secret weapon. It's called 8 Sleep. This brand is a way to add heating and cooling to any bed. And I'm telling you, this cooling feature is an absolute life changer for me, especially during those warm summer months. This might be TMI, but I sweat very easily. And I didn't really realize how much this was affecting my quality of sleep. Once I slept on this bed that has a cooling feature, imagine like the cool side of the pillow, but like all over your body all the time. I do not know how I lived without this. So if you're ready to revolutionize your sleep, head over to rainmakerfamily.com/deals. We got a hookup for Rainmaker Family Show listeners. Again, that's rainmakerfamily.com/deals and check out 8 Sleep. All right, back to the show. What would you say? Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think back to like Chelsea a year ago. Um, I would say some of those symptoms and things were happening, I think those are really common, especially in high performance, like high capacity driven women, right? Like they're moms, they got kids, they're running the business, like, they're doing all the things. And I think there's that burnout, the overwhelm, there's the sluggishness, the brain fog at 1 p.m. Like, some of these things, like what are common factors that potentially could be going on there? Like in what's happening inside of them that is like causing these things.
Yes.
I know you mentioned iron is one of like iron deficiency. Again, this
Mhm.
isn't just to like, hey, go find an iron supplement, but it's just to kind of give you, I think, clues to maybe start exploring a little bit. I don't know.
Mhm.
Can you explain some common symptoms
Sure.
that you see and potentially like where to start
Yeah.
starting to dig
Yeah,
in?
it's a great question. It's it's a big, wide variety of symptoms, and oftentimes it's connected to a few main things. So usually energy is going to be a problem. Maybe feeling tired when you wake up and having to drink some coffee to get going, and then you feel like a human again, and then afternoon you crash. Oftentimes there's an issue where you get like a second wind at night and it's hard to fall asleep. We see that a lot. Or it could be you're just wiped out all day long. You're just dragging, and you have to rely on things to get yourself going, but it's not true energy. We'll see a lot of issues like brain fog, just feeling like just kind of out of it, can't really think like you used to. You feel like you used to have a really sharp memory, and now it's not so much the case. Mood issues. I hear a lot of women will say, I just don't feel like myself anymore. I just feel like I'm not my happy self. I'll see pictures of me back in the day and I was feeling better. My mood was better. My energy was better. They just feel like they got away from their natural way of being. Um, it could be like, I can't fall asleep. I have to drink some wine, or I have to use cannabis. People there's a lot of things that people are using now, or sleep aids, when their body just isn't able to kind of sleep on its own. We'll see period issues, PMS, difficult periods, um, digestive issues, bloating, gas. I mean, kind of any body system, we'll see some dysfunction there. And so I think at the root of it, it's multi-body, right? You have to do, I mean, the initial blood work that I do helps me to look at the foundational things. But we work a lot on lifestyle. We really do, because the way that you structure your day and your life can either make you feel better or make you feel worse, right? So like we talk about sleep hygiene, getting your sleeping on track, eating regularly. For women, a lot of them don't eat enough protein, and that's like a huge thing. Like truly, that's like probably like in the top 3 things is eat a lot more protein. So I generally say at least half your body weight. So if you're 100, which no one's 100, if you're 150, you want to have at least 75 grams of protein a day, but even up to your actual body weight. And that right there can
Wow.
help so much for women, because then your blood sugar isn't crashing. When your blood sugar crashes, you feel anxious and jittery and hangry and dizzy and all of that. And it's like, women won't know, like, why do I have such anxiety? Oh, because I'm skipping meals, or I have young kids and I'm feeding my kids, but I'm like eating their scraps and not eating anything for myself. So it's just like changing the philosophy of like, you just have to put yourself first health wise, because it ultimately is going to help your whole family too. And what you do for work, and it's going to help the people you're trying to help when you feel better. So those kinds of things I see a lot. And then, depending on what shows up with labs, we'll supplement what's needed or address whatever hormone deficiency kind of issue. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah,
No,
I
it
know. I was
definitely
like,
did.
tell me everything. On the answer.
Yeah. I
But
know for me personally, like even as of our last call, like I'm working on upping my protein, because I think that I don't know. I think I have at the end of the day, especially around dinner time, like a little bit of hangriness that I didn't quite realize. And I've just learned to like, I've just felt like that's been like normal. So
Right.
both of us actually
yeah, both of
have
us.
been upping our protein, and it's
Yeah.
been hard. The morning time is hard
Yeah.
to get a lot of protein for me. I'm still working on it, but I'm determined.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're working on protein snacks. I feel
Yeah.
like my thing is if I don't have protein, then I'm willing to snack late at
A
night, right?
hundred
Because like that blood
percent.
sugar
Oh yes.
stuff. So
Yep.
if I just eat good during the day, I'm not gonna want to like eat junk at night. And so that's been great. And going to bed early's been helping me
Oh my
too. Because there's
Yeah.
gosh.
just not
It's
no
a
temptation.
game changer. And it all ties into it to itself. So like let's say you have really bad sugar cravings all day long. It could be because you're not sleeping well at night. So you're not getting that
Mm,
reset of your hormones at night, and then you're not getting that real fuel. So your body just wants sugar all day. So like something as simple as that, you have to kind of like take a step back and look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
gotcha.
Wow.
What about stress? Because I feel like that's, this ongoing like thing in anyone's life. There's going to be moments of more stress and then less stress in your life. So how do you help? What would you recommend to somebody who's just balancing? Like, what are some things that they can do to manage that stress?
I think it's a combination of 2 main things. Number 1 is, yes, reducing sources of stress as much as you can. But the second I think is even more important is how you actually perceive stress. So if you see stress as this is going to kill me, I'm so stressed, I'm never going to be healthy. You can have 2 people with the exact same stressed out situation. One is like, let's do this, like this is good for me. The other person is like, this is the worst thing ever. The person who is saying it's the worst thing ever, it's going to really affect them negatively. There's some interesting research
Yeah.
looking at that actually. I saw this TED talk recently. It's not a new one, but it blew my mind. It's called How to Make Stress Your Friend. If you haven't seen it, or
Mm.
anyone listening, if you haven't seen it, just look. I don't even remember the lady's name, but it was mind blowing. The relationship to stress is even more important than your actual stress level. So
Wow.
that's key.
Mm.
Yeah. How do you look at your
Wow.
stress?
That's interesting.
Because you can have someone who has like no stress, but they like don't really have any friends and they're like living in a bubble in their house. And, like that's different than someone who's like living kind of a stressful life, but they have connection with other people. They're out and about, they're living an active life. So that perception, I think, and I used to not focus so much on that with patients. Now I'm like, okay, you can handle stress, you can handle hard things. Yes, you don't want to be burning the candle at both ends all the time, but just up your protein and just know mindset wise, you can handle it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I thought that was like really interesting because um, I remember Chelsea with like, you were doing like some kind of harder workouts
Mm.
after, well, I mean, you've always kind of been like, Chelsea's always been a great worker outer,
Yeah.
And I remember you being like, just walk,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because your body is stressed after having this baby and your body was like, you were holding weight because of the stress.
Hmm.
So talk about that a little bit. Cause I think that was I
Yeah.
never heard that before. Like basically weight loss in relation to
Yes. Oh my
stress.
gosh, this is huge. I will have patients do less exercise if they're not balancing it with that rest mode and if they're not getting good sleep. So, if you're not sleeping consistently, your body is going to hold on to fat because fat is a fantastic source of fuel. So, the fat on your body compared to muscle on your body, you're going to be able to get a lot more energy with the fat. So, that's a big reason why women, especially going through, hormone changes, they'll hold on to fat or after having a baby because it's like your energy is low. So, your body's going to hold on to the fat to give you energy. So, it's protecting you, and that's one thing I try to teach patients too is like, you don't want to see your body as broken. It's doing what it needs to be doing to give you energy and to make you able to function. It may not be fun. It might be frustrating that you used to be able to lose weight. Now you can't. But, at least shifting that mindset is big. And then we start working on, okay, let's get your sleep on track and let's get you walking
Mhm.
so that that fight or flight response can come down.
Yeah.
And then the body's going to go, okay, here's the fat. You can take it. I don't need it anymore. You know,
Yeah.
it's a whole biochemistry process in your body that's happening. It truly is not calories in, calories out. That's an outdated model.
Mhm.
And, the different types of calories matter. Carbs calories from carbs versus calories from fat or protein is going to operate very different in your body. So it's a lot of kind of relearning stuff.
Uh,
Hmm.
I've actually never heard that, like, the calories in, calories out is an old model. Like, you're the first person to, like, say that. So I feel like I mean, I know that, but, like, actually having you, like, say that out loud is very powerful and
Yeah.
just looking at things differently too.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, there's a great book, Gary Taubes. He wrote a book, Good Calories, Bad Calories, if you want to geek out on that. It's great. He talked he's out of UCLA and just discussing the different types of calories. And it was pretty groundbreaking when it first came out. It's been out for a little while, but you'll learn more about that. I have a feeling you want to geek out on it.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you. One, like if somebody is interested in kind of going down more of the functional medicine like route, are there any things that you would recommend to listeners as far as like red flags to avoid if they're looking for somebody, whether locally? I know with you, like you could book online and everything, like you don't have to be in the same state or anything like that.
Mhm.
But like what would you have them want to look out for?
I would just want to make sure that the person is actually getting to the root of issues and not just putting people on a lot of supplements. I mean, as you know, you have gone on a lot of supplements, but it was all based
Mhm.
on the lab work and it's always based on like a goal in mind. So some
Mhm.
practitioners will just kind of throw things at you and just like try this, try that. And I just think that's pretty careless. And they may not know that until they actually do the appointment, but that would be a red flag, I
Yeah,
would say.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. And then I would love to know, like, what are your top, like, I don't know, we could go with like 3 to 5 things that you think like all women should be aware of, or maybe even like doing that they can incorporate. I think there's like free things, like obviously, um, I love all like the supplement things, but what are those other things that are like free that are available to anybody that they should like lean into more
Eat
of?
more protein. Turn your phone off at night so you can sleep. No, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of the basic things that are so huge.
Mhm.
I think women have to lift weights. I don't know if I can't remember if you and I have talked much about that, but that's an important, like, long-term aging thing is you have to lift heavy things, you know? The more muscle you have on your body, the healthier you're going to be, period. It's going to prevent all kinds of issues, heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes. I mean, all these different conditions, they have that central issue of inflammation. And the more that your body
Mm.
is metabolically efficient, the more it can reduce inflammation on its own, you know? So I would just say diet
Wow.
wise, eat more protein, get some weightlifting going, and really prioritize and focus on your sleep. Those would be game changers if you're not already doing that.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I feel like in the entrepreneurial world, biohacking is like really big right now, like red light and um, cold plunges is
Yes.
like kind of the thing. What do you think about these
I
things?
think they're
Like
great.
these
I think
normal
they're
hacks?
great. I mean, we have been using hydrotherapy in naturopathic medicine for hundreds of years. So we already started this many years ago. But I'm a big fan of doing like alternating hot and cold. I'll tell patients to do this in the shower. You do a minute of hot, 30 seconds cold. You alternate it and you always end on cold. That's always, you never end it
Okay.
on hot. You have to end it on cold because then that really stimulates the body's immune response and,
Wow.
Okay.
metabolism to warm up the body. So there's things like that. We've used things like warming sock treatment. Have we ever talked about that, Chelsea? I don't know if
No.
so. This is something you can do on yourself or on kids. So if
Okay.
the child is sick or if you're sick, you can put on a pair of cold, wet, wrung out cotton socks, and then you cover them
Okay.
with dry wool socks, and you go to sleep. So you do this, and
Okay.
so
Wow.
what it is, your feet start cold, and then it warms up as you're sleeping. And I swear, it's the
Wow.
craziest thing. It reduces sore throats, fevers, coughs,
Hey.
and even like headaches or migraines, because it brings for some reason, it brings blood flow to the lower part of the body, and it reduces that inflammation higher up. It's really incredible. So there's things
Wow.
like using
Wow.
these kind of, seems like sort of old wives' tales, but they work fantastic. And the whole goal is stimulating your body's own healing response. That's always the goal.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I've
Wow.
heard of the sock thing, but I've never tried it on myself or our boys. I think because I thought it was only for fevers, because I've heard it for that, but I didn't know like cough and a sore throat. Like our boys just had
Yeah.
like some cold and coughs. I'm like, dang it, we could have kicked that in the butt a lot
Yeah.
sooner, but I'll have to try next time I'm feeling
I
that
feel like I
way.
heard something with like garlic or something. Is that a thing? Like put garlic in there?
Yeah, I haven't done that personally or with patients, but I've heard that as well. Some people swear by it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, I know.
That's
All
crazy.
kinds
I
of
love I
things.
love those little like hacks where it's like, wow, like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a confession
Uh-huh.
for you. I want to hear your honest thoughts. I've been sleeping on the floor for the last 7 days. Have
Oh
you
no,
heard
are
of
you guys in
people
a
sleeping
fight?
No, I'm
He
kind of the weird
willingly.
one that likes to do experiments, and I just saw a YouTube video that was like telling me how awesome it changed my life. I slept on the
I
floor.
like our comfy bed, so
We
I'm
have like
good.
the fanciest bed. And so like, and I love the bed. We've done multiple podcasts about the bed and like we got the 8 sleep mattress cooling, like it's amazing. But I was just like, hey, I'll try it for 7 days.
And what was the reason for it?
I just wanted to try it to say I
And how are you
did and
sleeping?
see I well, I have the Aura Ring.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's like doing really well. Like, of course, the first night was awful. Second night was slightly less awful. But then by the third night, I was like, wow, I'm actually feeling great. I'm waking up early. I don't want to stay in bed. At that point, you're kind of like in pain. And so you're just like, you get up at 5 a.m. And then, but my sleep scores are like through the roof. It's pretty
That
crazy
is
compared to last week.
fascinating.
Have you ever heard of people doing
No,
that?
I mean, is it cooler on the ground? I would wonder if the if
It's
the
cooler
temperature
on the
has something to do
ground.
with it. Yeah, and maybe
The
you're not
concept is
feeling a
like,
tossing and turning. I don't know if you could feel that with Chelsea before, or maybe you're
yeah,
not
that
getting
that as well,
disrupted.
and then, like, the concept's like it's like kinda like rolling out your muscles all night because
Yeah.
it's such a hard surface. The funny thing is I posted about it on Facebook, and, like, there was multiple people in the comments who were like, "Yeah, I've been sleeping on the floor for 20 years, like, my husband sleeps on the floor, like, it's healed my back," like, all this
Yeah.
crazy
I think
stuff
there's a lot of
where
things,
it's
the
like
temperature, the not getting disrupted, maybe the grounding portion of it. I don't know if
yeah,
that's part
yeah.
of it,
I have a
but
little grounding mat under there,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start trying it.
I don't know. I think my true test is I'm going to go back to the bed on Wednesday. That's my plan. I'm doing 7 days.
We'll
And then like, if it's awful, going back, then maybe I go
You'll
back
be like,
to the
this is
floor.
the softest thing ever.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah.
I want to
I
hear
don't
the
know.
update.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll let
I'll
you
let you
know.
know.
We'll do a podcast on it.
Yeah.
Cool. All
Wow.
right. Well,
That was a
that was
random
my curious
question
question
from
of the day.
Steven. But Dr. Lowe, if our listeners like want to get in touch with you, maybe find your podcast or maybe even reach out to start working together, where's the best place that they can find you?
So if they wanted to contact me directly, probably Instagram's the best thing for me. It's Doctor spelled out and then _LO. And then for the podcast, it's Dr. Lowe Show. So you just check out, all the major podcast apps for that. And then for the website, for the clinic, it's shinenaturalmedicine.com. We do appointments with local patients all over the country. It's all telemedicine. So it doesn't matter where you live. And then, if you talk to Kate at the office, she will instantly become a family member of yours and make you feel right at home.
Yes, she will. She's amazing.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. If you're listening to the show and you're like, man, someone needs to hear this, please share the show with a loved one, a friend, something like that. Go connect with Dr. Lowe on Instagram and all over the internet. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Good job, Chelsea. You're the best patient. Good job being a hubby, Steven. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. If you're not a part of our mastermind yet, I want to say I think you're missing out. Our heart here at Rainmakers is to create total abundance for you. That's why we're offering a free one-on-one family freedom design session for you, our faithful listener.
Yeah, if you want to hop on a call with our team, see if it's a good fit to build a business that creates time freedom for you, financial abundance, and helps you leave that thriving family legacy. That's what we're all about in our mastermind. You can grab a time on our team's calendar at rainmakerfamily.com/mastermind. Again, that's rainmakerfamily.com/mastermind.